NTA News 24. We are live in Abuja, the nation's capital. I'm Comfort Amodu with the news. The headlines. President Buhari in Brussels, Belgium, 6th European Union African Union Summit. Senate receives 2022 appropriations amendment proposal from President Buhari. Nigeria to experience early onset of rainy season in 2022. And now the details of the news. As President Muhammadu Buhari is in Brussels ahead of the 6th European African Union Summit beginning on Thursday, State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has details.
President Muhammadu Buhari arrives Brussels International Airport at 10:30 Tuesday evening local time. On hand to accord him a befitting welcome was a delegation from the European Union and the Nigerian ambassador to Belgium, Obinna Onowu. Also at the airport were ministers of foreign affairs and health, Minister of State for Environment, the National Security Advisor, Chairman, Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, and other senior government officials. At the EU-Africa Union Summit beginning on Thursday, President Buhari is expected to join European and other African leaders as well as heads of multilateral organizations to discuss issues of mutual concerns.
In this instance, the issues of sustainable and inclusive development, especially against the backdrop of the COVID devastation of the global economy. Specifically for Nigeria and most of Africa, there are issues of unfair trade. Europeans, they subsidized their agriculture. And so therefore, there is no place when we try to break into their markets. It's always difficult to do because our prices of our own agricultural products are very uncompetitive here because of the huge subsidies, up to 50 billion euros that they give to their own, farmers. There's also the issue of the Economic Partnership Agreement, EPA, between Europe and African countries. All of the countries in West Africa have signed. Nigeria has refused to sign. Maybe because we're a big economy, we're strong, we are the largest economy on the continent. It simply says it is unfair. And we are seeking that, look, let them put money and set up industries that will employ our people so that that desperation, to cross the dangerous waters and the deserts to come to Europe for better life can be ameliorated.
And on the margins of the summit, the Nigerian leader will hold bilateral engagement with other world leaders on areas of common interest.
There are not less than 7 or 8 foreign heads of state who have indicated their wish to meet President Muhammadu Buhari. Huge interest in our own country. And it is, of course, to discuss matters of development for us, investment, weapons purchases and all of that. So we are hoping that there will be so much that we'll take from here. And the presence of our leader, President Muhammadu Buhari, is of greater significance, and it will help in a big way to push the national agenda of Nigeria at this meeting.
President Buhari is expected back in Nigeria on Saturday. From Brussels, Belgium, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Before departing for Belgium, critical national issues, especially security of lives and property, dominated discussions as President Muhammadu Buhari granted audience to the governors of Kogi and Imo states. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo again reports that the Deputy Senate President and the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives also came calling.
Both the governor of Kogi State, Yahya Bello, and his Imo State counterpart, Hope Uzodimma, met the president behind closed doors. Discussions held behind closed doors centered on efforts at enhancing the security of lives and property in their respective states.
Kogi State, as at the time I assumed office, used to be the most dangerous, let me put it that way, crime state before. But as at today, by the special grace of God, Kogi State is the safest state as far as Nigeria is concerned. Mr. President was very pleased, or is very pleased, about our performance in the state, in the area of security, economy, infrastructural development, integration, peace and unity that are being enjoyed in Kogi State today.
I had a very quality audience with Mr. President, and I used the opportunity also to make some requests that will assist us in ensuring that the security situation in Imo State is stable and that the fight against banditry is also sustained so that people can go about their businesses without fear of any molestation. In the same manner, I also used the opportunity to request Mr. President to consider locating a power generating facility in Warri River, where we have been able to empty all the flood control system by balloon technology, and the tide has gone up, and because of the sufficient water in the river now, we can use that river to generate electricity to serve the entire Owerri metropolis.
Governor Hope Uzodimma in particular used the opportunity to allay fears in some quarters regarding the conduct of the forthcoming National Convention of the governing APC.
APC is not a mushroom party. APC is a giant. It's the largest party today in Africa. And that is the party that other small parties should copy. Because all small parties come to do zoning, do that and that. Their internal mechanism must not be the same thing with that of APC. We shouldn't worry about little issues. I think our focus and attention should be towards having a workable democracy in Nigeria like we have shown, supporting government policies and programs, and then being patriotic.
The Kogi State governor is more concerned about his presidential ambition, confirming, however, that the matter did not come up in his discussion with the president.
What is important now is the state of my state, the situation of my state, to give Mr. President that comfort of mind that as a governor, I am handling effectively and managing my state to the best of my ability within the limited resources, coupled with all the challenges. And what is important also is the stability of this country, and also to ensure that our party remains solid under President Muhammadu Buhari. Then thereafter, then we shall come on board to announce to the world what our ambitions are.
President Muhammadu Buhari also received in audience Deputy Senate President Ovie Omo Agege and the Deputy Speaker of the House, Ahmed Idris Wase. Details of their discussions, also held behind closed doors, were not disclosed. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has transmitted to the Senate the 2022 Appropriations Act amendment proposal. National Assembly correspondent Dayo Gunshola reports.
A letter from President Muhammadu Buhari requesting for amendment of the 2022 Appropriations Act to address current realities of the nation set the tone for Tuesday's Senate plenary.
However, following the suspension of the PMS subsidy removal, the 2022 budget framework has been revised to fully provide for PMS subsidy. An additional provision of 2.557 trillion naira will be required to fund the petroleum subsidy in 2022. It is equally important to reinstate the 25.81 billion naira cut from the provision for the power sector reform program in order to meet the federal government's commitment under the financing plan agreed with World Bank.
The president's letter seeks to repeal Clause 10 of the 2022 Appropriations Act, which authorizes the EFCC and the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit to charge from all monies standing in credit to units as revenue, penalties, or sanctions.
The Fiscal Responsibility Act 2007, as well as the Finance Act 2021, require that these agencies to remit fully any recovered funds to the Consolidated Revenue Fund. This course may lay a dangerous precedent and spark clamors for similar treatment by other anti-corruption agencies.
Another executive bill seeking to establish civil defense, correctional, federal fire, and immigration service board was also transmitted to National Assembly. Senate urged security agencies to curtail bandits' attack in the country. This is sequel to a personal explanation by Deputy Chief Whip on the upsurge of bandit attacks in Niger North.
And we also said we strongly suggest that the operation should be overwhelmingly comprehensive enough to close the various parts where these bandits normally take their attacks through.
Senate this Tuesday passed Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau Establishment Bill, sponsored by Senator Smart Adeyemi. 3 other bills passed second reading at plenary. They include a bill to establish National Institute for Education Planning and Administration, sponsored by Senator Ayo Akinyelure, a bill to establish Federal College of Education, Okobo, Akwa Ibom, sponsored by Senator Akoneti, and the one for an act to amend the Bank Employees Declaration of Assets, sponsored by Senator Sani Musa.
The bill, if passed to law, will, 1, provide enabling legal and legislative instrument required in the strategic operation activities of NEPA.
Quality teachers training is the sure foundation to achieving quality education in Nigeria.
To ensure that their lifestyle reflects their earnings and to discourage them from engaging in corrupt practices.
Plenary continues Wednesday. From the National Assembly, Dayo Nshola, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Senate has advised the Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19 to deploy technology in detecting fake test results before foreign trips. This is one of the positions of the Senate committee investigating alleged fake COVID-19 results in Nigeria. National Assembly correspondent Mobolaji Moribirin has the details.
This hearing is sequel to adoption of a motion at Senate plenary over allegations that Ghanaian authorities have tested Nigerians who travel to their country positive for COVID-19, even after testing negative in Nigeria. Stakeholders on the subject matter took turns to intimate the committee on the journey so far on COVID-19 testing measures in Nigeria.
There are people who leave Nigeria who are determined and hell-bent on not following the protocol. They obtain fake results here, and therefore, when they arrive in other countries and they are tested, they can be positive.
The PSC in the last few months confiscated quite a number of international passports of some of the people that are found to have either violated some of these protocols. The PSC, NCDC, and of course, they will go and work out a system that will leverage on technology that will eliminate the human error or what we are seeing in the system now.
Meanwhile, the committee also received submissions on 5 health-related bills aimed at improving the sector.
What we have inserted in it is that every hospital, public or private, shall receive for treatment with or without police clearance.
Give the eye hospital additional infrastructure and equipment so that they can increase the number of people that is served within that community and the environment.
This project will be one of your successful stories if established.
Much as these bills are desirable, we need to count the cost.
Both chambers of the National Assembly need to agree for the bills to be passed. From the National Assembly, Mobolaji Moribirin, NTA News.
And in the meantime, the House of Representatives has received presidential requests seeking the establishment of a board for the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps and some existing services. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
2 executive bills, one seeking the establishment of a board for the Civil Defense Corps, Nigeria Immigration, the Fire Service and Correctional Service to adequately reflect the current relationship between the board, the Corps and these services, as well as another proposing amendments of the 2022 appropriation were read by the Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila.
While hoping that this submission will receive the usual expeditious consideration of the House, please accept, Right Honourable Speaker, the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, Muhammadu Buhari.
6 bills passed second reading, among them a bill to regulate activities of orphanage homes and a bill to establish Auctioneers Registration Council of Nigeria, sponsored by House Chief Whip.
Many of our government properties, it is through the instrumentality of auctioneers that these properties are being auctioned to the members of the general public. There is a need to regulate the practice of auctioneers.
Meanwhile, the House has condemned the brutal killing of DCP Abubakar Abdul Qadir and others by bandits during a rescue operation in Jibia, Katsina State, as raised by Kabir Al-Hassan.
Direct the police and DSS authorities to intensify investigation on the causes of such killings, identify the culprits, and initiate appropriate measures to bring them to book.
The motion from Emeka Martins urging authorities to investigate alleged invasion and destruction of property in Ahiazu local government area of Imo State by men suspected to be law enforcement agents was adopted. Representative Francis Charles Udiok's appeal for the reactivation of NTA Channel 35 Eket, Akwa Ibom State also received members' support.
The Nigerian Television Authority is the biggest television network in Nigeria, with stations in several parts of the country, and is widely viewed as the authentic voice of Nigerian government with a mandate to unite and build the nation through its programs. The federal government commenced the building of NTA Channel 35 Eket, Akwa Ibom State in 2006, which was completed in 2008 and test run for commissioning in 2011, but was surprisingly abandoned on the eve of its commissioning.
The need to develop traditional herbal medicine through research was emphasized by the lawmakers when Representative Bashiru Ayinla brought up the matter during plenary. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
The news at 10 is broadcast live on NTA News 24. Up ahead. NNPC pledges supply of more than 2.3 billion litres to ease fuel scarcity. These and more when we return. Welcome back. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited says more than 2.3 billion litres of petrol will arrive the country between now and end of February 2022. The Group Executive Director Downstream Adeyemi Adetunji, who briefed journalists on efforts to restore normalcy in the supply chain, said the NNPC retail and stakeholders in the downstream will operate 24 hours. Lydia Sampson reports.
The queues are everywhere, including petrol stations right in front of the NNPC Limited, to mitigate the current fuel supply disruptions in many parts of the country, which was caused by the discovery and subsequent quarantine of methanol-blended cargoes of premium motor spirit, commonly referred to as petrol. The NNPC Limited has engaged stakeholders across the value chain.
This will restore sufficiency level above the national target of 30 days. As of today, NNPC has over 1 billion litres of petrol in stock, and the petrol being dispensed at the various filling stations in the country is safe.
He says in order to accelerate petrol distribution across the country, NNPC has commenced 24-hour operations at its depots and retail outlets. Similarly, Major Oil Marketers Association of Nigeria, MOMAN, the Depot Owners and Petroleum Product Marketers Association of Nigeria, DAPMAN, as well as Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, have commenced 24 hours loading and dispensing activities in some of their designated outlets. The NNPC has also constituted a monitoring team with the support of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority and other security agencies to ensure smooth distribution of petrol nationwide. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
Indeed, Lydia, the queues are everywhere. And we will join Ekene Nduluwe now to give us an update on the situation across the metropolis. Ekene, hello, where are you right now?
See what is happening behind me. The queue is so long and it's actually spilling out from the lines created for the queues over to the roads, blocking motorists that want to ply the road, even though the security agents have been trying to clear the roads, but the people that want to buy fuel are growing impatient, and there are a lot of hardship for people that are making use of these parts of the road.
You went about yesterday. Is anything different from what you saw yesterday? What's the situation currently? We seem to be having a technical challenge with the feedback from Ekene there. We will join him in the course of the news. Now, let's take a look at some reports in politics. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu is meeting with resident electoral commissioners to ensure that no polling unit is without a voter. And this becomes necessary in the view of the experience in the FCT Area Council elections, where about 600 polling units were without voters, while some others were congested.
And 50 voters, as we saw in some of the recent elections. Over the next few weeks, the Commission will intensify efforts to address the issue ahead of the forthcoming Ekiti and Osun governorship elections and ultimately the 2023 general election. We will review and improve the functionality of the BVAS for biometric accreditation of voters in the forthcoming by-elections and off-season governorship elections before the 2023 general election. The Commission remains convinced that the deployment of technology in our elections safeguards the integrity of the vote and provides a better guarantee for electoral credibility than the best manual process.
And still in politics, one of the leading All Progressives Congress National Chairmanship aspirant and former governor of Nasarawa State, Senator Umar Tanko Almakura, has commended the Nigerian Television Authority for promoting Nigerians' interests through purposeful reportage. And this was during a visit to the headquarters of the organization. Saliu Gwanara reports.
A handshake between two broadcasters, Senator Tanko Almakura and the Director General of the NTA, Yakubu Ibn Muhammad. While one is still active in the business, the other has since ventured into politics. On this occasion, NTA is hosting Senator Almakura, who visited to advance his political aspiration.
And I feel by this visit is an affirmation of the fact that no politician or anybody in any kind of endeavor that requires public attention could succeed without the help of the media. And of all the electronic medias that we have, I consider the NTA as the mainstream in-house with a large, wide range of viewership.
The Director General of NTA, Yakubu Ibn Mohammed, highlights the importance and influence of the media in a democratic society and pledged to support and promote every genuine democratic practices.
You have a media background, a strong media background, somebody who has a strong political background, which you very creditably displayed in your 8 years as governor of Nasarawa State, and now doing a very good job in the Senate. I think your credentials speak for themselves.
Meanwhile, Senator Al-Makura urged APC faithful not to relent in supporting the Governor Mai Mala Buni-led CECPC towards a hitch-free national convention.
But whatever delays or changes in the process before the convention to ensure that the convention is successful and seamless, I think all responsible party members should be able to sympathize and appreciate.
Al-Makura is optimistic that the February 26, 2022 convention will be successful. In Abuja, Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
Minimizing discussions on what leaders of the People's Democratic Party describe as acrimonious power rotation, but rather concentrating on building the party above other considerations, top discussions when the party leadership met with the party stakeholders in Abuja. Timothy Yusuf reports.
It is a maiden meeting between the PDP NWC and leaders of the party in non-PDP governing states, mostly former governors and ministers. Former governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido, led the stakeholders.
No matter what you talk about power, you need the party first before the power. If the party is not properly organized, united and strong, power will elude us.
National chairman of the PDP, Iyorchia Ayuri, emphasized the unity now in the party as it works towards victories in future elections. He congratulated the party for its outing in the just concluded FCT area council's election and disclosed plans to challenge the election results in some council areas.
It is very clear that Nigerians are receiving our message. It is very clear that Nigerians want us back to power. And that is why in the FCT, they voted us massively back to power.
The NWC, Senator Ayu says, will employ consensus in running the party affairs, having been products of same consensus. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Many thanks, Timothy, for that report. And we have more reports right after this time out.
NTA, you can't beat the rich.
We want to talk about rights, there are obligations. I'm not saying that this government is a saint, very far from it. But there are things that we can do to make it better, and that's the challenge I'm throwing to you. You don't want to build this nation? I don't know where else you want to go. If I had a choice,